This is a very brief introduction to the IELTS academic writing module. Let's take a look at it in terms of the format of the test and the kinds of tasks that you're expected to do. I'll also have a look at some strategies that you can adopt and give you a couple of examples. At the end, we'll have a look at some recommended books for further study. First, the format of the test. The writing module takes 60 minutes and is divided into two tasks. Task 1 should take you about 20 minutes and you should write at least 150 words, and Task 2 should take you about 40 minutes with a minimum of 250 words. It's a good idea to note that words may be counted by the examiners, so don't write too many, don't write too few. But don't waste time counting words in the actual test. That's a waste of time. What you should do in practice is to learn how many words you normally get on a line and how many lines make 150 or 250 words in total. Now, what about your answers? Your answers must be written on the answer sheet. No other paper is acceptable in the test. You must write your answers in full. Don't write them as bullet points. Don't write them as notes. Notes are not acceptable as answers. You may not make notes on the question paper. You may make notes on a piece of scrap paper or what some people call scratch paper, but you are not allowed to take any materials from the test room, and that includes rough notes, plans, etc. Let's have a look at Task 1 in more detail. As I said earlier, Task 1 should take you no more than 20 minutes and you should write a minimum of 150 words. In Task 1, you're expected to interpret a diagram or a table and present the information in your own words. That's very important. You should not copy words from the task as it's printed on the sheet. To do this task properly, you have to be able to organize, present, and possibly compare data. For example, the amount of money that people spend on different forms of entertainment. You may also have to describe the stages of a procedure or process. For example, the stages of human evolution. You may have to describe an object, or an event, or a series of events. For example, to describe how the water cycle works. Or you may have to explain how something works, for example, a car engine. How is Task 2 different from Task 1? Task 2 should take you about 40 minutes and you should write at least 250 words. And this should tell you that Task 2 is valued more than Task 1. In fact, in terms of weighting of marks, Task 2 gets heavier marking than Task 1. So actually Task 2 is more important than Task 1. And in Task 2, you'll be presented with a point of view, or an argument, or a problem. You may have to present and justify an opinion. For example, they may ask you, do you think trial by jury should be used in all criminal cases? You will very probably be expected to compare and contrast evidence, opinions, and implications. For example, how effective is it to reward good work with extra money? You will also be expected to evaluate and challenge ideas, evidence, or an argument. For example, failure shows desire wasn't strong enough. To what extent do you agree or disagree? So how does the examiner assess your piece of writing? In general, you are expected to respond appropriately in terms of getting the right register. Academic writing is formal and polite. We do not use things like contracted forms. Your organization is expected to be extremely clear and logical. Your style should be recognized academic style. For example, Do not include any rhetorical questions. Those are questions which don't expect an answer. For example, how can we expect people to do this? That would be a rhetorical question. You're not expected to include exclamations, and that includes semi-exclamations such as, how beautiful the world is. Don't include any extreme opinions. You're expected to be a rational, reasonable human being. Do use tentative expressions from time to time, such as, this appears to be, or this is probably due to. And do make sure that whatever you include in your writing is relevant and complete. So what are the special considerations for task 1? Well, first of all, have you answered the question completely? The examiner will give you a mark out of 9 for task fulfillment. Have you covered everything? Have you omitted anything significant? Have you included anything irrelevant? The second thing is a combination of coherence and cohesion. Does your answer flow logically? Is it clear to the reader how your argument is structured? Firstly, secondly, finally. Cohesion. Do your sentences relate to each other clearly? For example, words such as this, it, he. Is it clear what they refer to? Don't forget, using synonyms is greatly valued in English. We don't repeat things very much in English. So you will be given a mark out of 9 for coherence and cohesion. Then, of course, vocabulary. You're expected to show a good range of appropriate vocabulary. You're not addressing a specialist reader, however, so don't be tempted to use jargon. Don't show off. Just choose the best words for the occasion and make sure that it will be understandable to a well-educated but non-specialist reader. And that, in conjunction with sentence structure, will be given a band score out of 9. Your sentences should be concise but not simplistic, and as an example, you should know how to use relative clauses as a way of linking ideas together.